the Onsernone Valley in the Swiss canton of Ticino. For decades, it has attracted people seeking a different lifestyle. One of them is Dr. Josef Savary-Borioli, known locally as Beppe. He has been a mountain doctor for over 40 years. Now 72, he's faced with the challenge of finding a successor, a younger doctor to take over before Beppe is no longer able to work.
I have the advantage of being in good health. Right now I'm healthy, but you never know. It might take me a little longer to get up there now. But as Reinhold Messner and Oswald Oeth said, maybe I walk a little more elegantly. I don't know.
A house call here can be time-consuming and exhausting. To check on his patient Laura Mortazzini, Beppe has to hike almost 300 meters down one hill, then 400 meters up another.
From here you can see how steep it is. To get to the house over there, I usually go up there, then I turn the corner and come back under the rock.
Beppe is in good shape. Still, it takes him a good hour to climb up to the mountain pasture. The descent takes just as long.
I found the idea of being responsible for every aspect of my patient's medical care very interesting. From prevention, which at one time meant vaccination, of course, to examining children, to emergency medicine.
A house call can take up to 3 hours. Beppe takes his time. He gets to know not only his patients' ailments, but their whole lives.
I wanted to stop by and see how you were doing. Everything okay?
I was asleep. I thought you weren't coming.
81-year-old Laura Mortazzini, known as Lali, lives alone. She spends 8 months of the year on the Oviga mountain pasture. No books, television, or internet.
Thank you. Would you like some more milk and a little grappa? The grappa is made from Americano grapes. It's really good.
Yes, it's from Masogno.
Goes down well. It's the best. Yes, the secret is that they use the whole grape, not just the pomace. Have you felt like you've had high blood pressure lately?
Well,
Let's look at your blood oxygen level.
we measured it recently.
No, not for a few visits now.
All right.
That's good. Now take a deep breath. Like Swiss clockwork.
Excellent.
No trouble making the climb from the village?
No.
No, it's working well.
Good, I'll sit down for a moment every now and then.
That's understandable.
The walk takes me almost an hour.
Lali has to take medication regularly. That's another reason why Beppe has to check on her every now and then.
Blood pressure is a little high, but that's probably because I'm visiting her now. It's not the first time. I'm not wearing a white coat, but they call it white coat hypertension. She also says she has no complaints. She needs a little longer, but I need that now too, right? But she's doing very well. She has no congestion in her lungs. Her heart is beating at a good rhythm. She certainly lives a very healthy life. I think she'll come here as long as she can. And that's her toccasana, as they say in Italian, or her life elixir.
Until the 19th century, this valley, which begins above Locarno on Lake Maggiore and ends in Spruga at an altitude of 1,300 meters, was shaped by bitter poverty and emigration. In the 1970s, it experienced a revival. In search of alternative lifestyles, hippies came to Onsernone around that time. Today, in order for the valley to become attractive to young people again, medical care is needed. Mike Keller grew up in Onsernone and went to school here. Later, he studied in the U.S. and lived and worked in Afghanistan, Chad, and Palestine. He returned about 9 years ago and is now building a future for his young family, but also for the valley.
My father was one of the long-haired hippies who moved here in the 1970s. They were searching for this pure nature. They saved the valley demographically. And after that, the trend dipped again. Until a few years ago. Now we've done it. Well, not just us, but we're also expecting a child and hope to help repopulate the valley ourselves. Since we've been here, there's been a trend. Younger people who moved to the valley that can now work from home.
Choreographer Eleonora and former project manager Mike have come to stay. They bought a house in 2022.
Buying a house is a commitment. It's not just a matter of saying, oh, we'll move away again in 2 years. That's why I think we'll stay here. This is a place and a way of life with which we will feel comfortable for a long time.
Berzona, located roughly in the middle of the valley, is considered by many to be the most beautiful village in Onsernone. Daniela Huba and her family moved here in 2023. She is a shaman. In search of a place where nature and people live in harmony, she moved into her grandmother's house, where she used to spend her summer vacations as a child. Now she is looking for living space for fellow enthusiasts. She is hoping for help from Mike Keller. He has created a job for himself. Most of the houses in Onsernone are empty outside the summer season. Managing them and renting them out temporarily is now his job.
It is no better.
I thought I'd show you Casa Leone today. It's a gorgeous house that I rent out during the season. The owner would theoretically agree to rent it out during the winter season to families or friends of yours, as we already discussed, to bring more life to this beautiful village, especially in winter, but ideally for the whole year.
Daniela and Adrian, the father of her son, see the Onsernone Valley as an opportunity to live in a community with like-minded people.
Welcome, guys. The beautiful Casa Leone. Please. Monsieur. Madame. Yeah, this is really a beautiful old house. Very rustic, but with some modern elements, like a new bathroom, a new kitchen, beautiful fireplace. And yeah, people especially love the loggia, the arched balcony. The owners, they're only using the houses a few weeks of the year and then renting out through me, making some income through that with the tourists, but of course not enough to modernize the whole heating systems.
We all want the village to really come back to life. My gut feeling tells me that people increasingly want to move away from the cities. Because I've seen a bit of a break with COVID, when suddenly it wasn't so much fun anymore when you couldn't go everywhere. People spent more time in nature and learned to appreciate nature again. And I see a trend that indicates that more people will come to places like this. And for me, it's clear that the valley will survive. No question about it.
In its heyday, Berzona was a village of poets. Max Frisch, Alfred Anders, and Golo Mann lived here. To this day, many houses reflect the discreet luxury of days gone by. A few kilometers away lies Russo, in the most beautiful cul-de-sac in Switzerland, as the Onsernone Valley is often called. This is where Beppe Savary-Borioli lives and works. The father of 2 adult daughters, Beppe had the chance to pursue an academic career, or alternatively, to take over his father's practice in Bern. But he turned it all down because he had a different life in mind. Here he had found the spirit, but also the beauty he was looking for. He loves the valley and the people here. He's personally invested in the search for a good successor.
This is the greenest, wildest valley. Frisch said it is covered in forests like it was in the Stone Age. The villages rise out of this green sea like islands. Of course, many people die here because it is an aging valley, but that happens in most mountain valleys. There are also signs that it will survive.
Beppe is hopeful. His search for a successor is taking shape. A young colleague has been working with him for almost 6 months as part of his specialist training. Another is set to follow in the fall. Fausto Widmer is employed at the local hospital in Locarno. His 6-month shadowing of Beppe is a test for both. It remains to be seen whether Fausto will like the job, whether the patients will accept him as a doctor, and whether he is prepared to merge his life and career, as Beppe has done.
Come closer.
Are you feeling better, Georgette?
Yes,
Are you still coughing?
I am a bit.
There's an infection going around. It's a virus or bacteria. It's most likely bacteria. That's what we assume. But it will pass. Thanks, Beppe. Let's check your oxygen saturation.
Beppe's first attempt to find a replacement was unsuccessful. With Fausto, things are looking more promising.
I don't know what part I played in this, but when the student becomes better than the teacher should be happy. And I really hope that I can hand over part of my work to him, and then in 4 or 5 years, I can maybe retire.
Fausto is a newcomer, but I love him.
Ciao, Riccardo.
Ciao Riccardo, ciao.
Keep an eye on Nonna.
Beppe has an appointment in Locarno, at the foot of the valley. He believes that a doctor-sharing arrangement would be ideal for his successors. He's looking for partners for this idea.
Today is the big day. We're meeting at the regional hospital in Locarno, La Carità, Mercy in Italian, where our bosses will gather to discuss a contract for a doctor-sharing arrangement.
Unser Vertrag über das Doktorsharing ist das Projekt der Zusammenarbeit. Und da werden dabei sein die beiden.
And the 2 young doctors will be there, Fausto Widmer and Marco Pastori. They would eventually take over my job, part-time, and work at the hospital the rest of the time.
Im Spital arbeiten werden.
At least that's what Beppe hopes. He's been working closely with his local colleagues for decades, but his doctor-sharing idea is new and could set a precedent in other remote regions. The two young doctors, Marco Pastori and Fausto Widmer, are open to the idea.
It was very interesting to work outside of the hospital, especially in a valley like Onsernone. It's a world unto itself. I'm interested in the idea of working partly in the Onsernone Valley and partly in Cevio, while keeping one foot in the hospital.
The idea behind this project is very exciting, especially for someone like me, who so far has worked only as an emergency physician. You wouldn't get this opportunity elsewhere, to continue to work in the fields for which I trained as a specialist, namely emergency medicine and anesthesia, and at the same time to prove myself in another field, and provide continuous care for patients in the valley. I find that contact very stimulating.
I think you, as the hospital in Locarno, are in a very good position here to cover the surrounding valleys.
That's the nature of it. Your perspective, as well as ours, will flow into a joint solution.
It all seems promising for Beppe. Everyone is pulling together, but things aren't looking so rosy everywhere. Lila Ruish was born here and returned after studying in Zurich. Her older son is in first grade, and her younger son will start preschool after the summer holiday. However, she's not yet certain that the school will reopen in the fall.
My first child started school 4 years ago and stayed there until 5th grade. Since then, the school has been shrinking, and every year has been a struggle. It was really hard not knowing at this time of year, at the end of the school year, whether the school would still be there in the autumn.
In order for the school to continue to receive support from the canton, a minimum of 12 children must be enrolled in preschool and elementary school. It's the end of the school year. 11 whole weeks of vacation await the children. What will happen after that is not yet clear. Lila hopes there will be enough children.
We have a vision of how we want to live our life. I think it's important to know exactly which direction you want to go in. And that might also appeal to others.
Beppe's legacy in the valley includes the Centro Sociale Onsernonese, a retirement and nursing home with attached medical care. His well-equipped practice, the ambulatorio, is open to everyone in the valley. Fausto is already working here too.
I should call Fausto over. Have you met him?
No, I haven't.
What? He's one of my successors. Come in, come in. Let me introduce you. Michel, Bruno, and last but not least, Pearl wearing a necklace made of real pearls. So what do you think? He doesn't know anything. There was a scar on one side of his face, right or left.
I can't see anything.
The students in the valley asked their grandparents and said, yes, what would you like? Where would you like to be when you can no longer be at home? Everyone said, I want to stay at home as long as possible. But if that's no longer possible, then I want to stay in the valley. I don't want to leave the valley. And that's how we came up with the idea of building a retirement home here in the centrally located village in the valley.
3 months later, it's fall in Onsernone. In the region regional hospital La Carita in Locarno. One of Beppe's potential successors, Marco Pastori, is back at work as an anesthetist. He has now been offered a senior position at the hospital and has put his plans to work part-time in the mountain doctor's practice on hold for the time being. Fausto Widmer is also back to working full-time in the emergency room after his internship in the valley. Although he enjoyed his time in Onsernone, he enjoys the interaction with his colleagues here. He tries to avoid getting Beppe's hopes up.
I haven't made my final decision yet. The idea is that I will work full-time here at the hospital for at least another year. Then I will decide whether to work outside of the hospital for some of the time.
Back in Russo, at the Centro Sociale Onsernonese, Beppe is once again on his own. But he doesn't want to give up on the idea of doctor sharing.
Permesso. Buongiorno, Yves.
Ciao, Eva. Passato il Covid. Ciao. Si può? Va bene. Eva, mach dir noch ein bisschen Gymnastik.
Eva, let's do a little gymnastics. Now try to touch your nose with your index finger.
Mit dem Zeigefinger.
Perfect.
Perfetto.
The hesitation of the young doctors from Locarno sets Beppe back in his search, but he understands it too.
Das Leben in einem relativ abgelegenen Tal ist nicht.
Life in a relatively remote valley is not for everyone. And this obsession with work-life balance, I don't quite understand it. Fortunately, I lived a little while I was working. Otherwise, my balance sheet in this regard would be pretty negative. But today, young doctors are also right when they say, I want to have a little more time for myself, for my family. I could have spent more time with my daughters.
Meine Töchter kamen schon etwas zu kurz.
The summer visitors have left Berzona. The houses and streets are deserted again. There are no newcomers yet. The village school in Loco is saved for 2024. Enough children have enrolled. This is a great relief for Lila Ruish.
The school has been steadily shrinking over the last few years. Next year, 3 more children will be leaving, and 3 new children will have to move in. Or a family with 3 children will have to move here. Ideally, 2 or 3 families.
Here you give up the anonymity of the big city. Everyone knows everyone. You depend on each other for shopping, transportation, emergencies, and not least for childcare.
It's part of my vision that children from different families can be together and be free to move around. This is really the perfect place, around the house. It has a large garden, neighboring families, and the children can just go outside without me having to supervise them. It's like a natural boundary, and they have a lot of space to discover themselves, but also the whole world and their experiences.
The Ruish family is one of the few in the valley that still farms locally. They grow grapes on many small plots around Loco.
You can't calculate how much time you invest in a bottle of wine.
Lila's father, Peter, came to the valley in the 1980s, seeking closeness to nature.
Man muss die Natur sehr gerne haben. Man muss diese Qualität von Leben, die man hier.
You have to really love nature. You have to love the quality of life you can have here. Of course, it's great to live here, but you have to sacrifice luxury.
Abstriche machen im Luxus, also das sind sicher Sachen.
These are certainly things you have to consider. It's very physical, very strenuous, and you have to like that too. But on the other hand, I have a quality of life here that I probably couldn't achieve anywhere else. Not in the city or down below.
Ultimately, it's about living a fulfilling life, in harmony with oneself. Even for Beppe.
I wouldn't want to live in Locarno for all the money in the world. My home and my life here are perfect.
The Onsernone Valley is looking for young families and a new doctor. They must be willing to roll up their sleeves and help shape the valley.
There are also beautiful moments, one of which is definitely my almost daily morning swim all year round, here in this stream. I think it's worth making a little effort for that. I have a good feeling that I will be able to say goodbye to my work. I will hand it over, but I will remain in the valley, and I hope that the valley will remain in me.